Hello, and welcome to this episode of Human Rights Magazine. My name is Derek McCush. The Yazidis are a Kurdish-speaking people, most of whom live in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Because they're not Muslim, they were a target of Islamic State terrorists who killed and imprisoned them by the thousands in a genocidal campaign. In this episode of Human Rights Magazine, Maiya Karsan explores the ongoing tragic story of the Yazidis since the brutality they suffered in 2014 and the general failure to protect and support many of those who survived. As a trigger warning, the last section of this episode includes a brief first-person account of sexual assault, which some listeners may wish to skip past to listen to her account of successful escape.
Hi, my name is Maiya Karsan, and in this episode, I will explore a critical human rights issue, one that is often overlooked, the continuous injustice faced by the Yazidi people. In August 2014, ISIS militants carried out a genocide against the Yazidi community in Sinjar, a region in northern Iraq. Thousands of Yazidis were enslaved, tortured, and killed. Women and girls were subjected to horrific sexual violence. More than 6,000 women and children were abducted, and to this day, approximately 2,700 are still missing. To give you a bit of context, the Yazidis are an old religious minority from Mesopotamia. They believe in the peacock angel, a figure that has been wrongly interpreted as a devil by some Muslim communities, leading to centuries of persecution. And yet, especially in the West, this issue is underrepresented and largely unaddressed. Thousands of Yazidis still live in displacement camps, and those who have returned to Sinjar are faced with a lack of electricity, clean water, and solid infrastructure. Today, I'll be speaking about this issue with three guests. First, Mr. Murad Ismail, a Yazidi from Sinjar, former director of the NGO Yazda, and co-founder of Sinjar Academy. I'll also be joined by Reverend Majid El-Shafi, founder of One Free World International, an organization that works to protect persecuted religious minorities. At the end of the episode, we'll hear the powerful story of Basma, a Yazidi genocide survivor who is now living in Toronto with her 3 children. So first, Mr. Ismail, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your involvement with the Yazidi community?
Yeah, definitely. So I am a Yazidi myself. I'm from Sinjar originally. I came to the US in 2009 to basically really I was working for the US military. So I came here with like resettlement. So I started my life here studying geophysics and engineering. Then the Yazidi issue happened. So kind of changed the way that I was really changed my life in a big way. So started with other Yazidis in the US, the advocacy we did in 2014 and beyond, which led to creation of Yazda, uh, and the work that we did in Yazda in terms of advocacy on accountability, passing resolution in multiple countries. Uh, Documentation project we did in Iraq. The other things we did was kind of the direct just aid and support to the Yazidi community. So in many ways, Yazda became like the probably the strongest Yazidi global organization or international organizations involved in both advocacy and the humanitarian aid to the Yazidi community and to Sinjar. So and I was with Yazda until kind of beginning of 2019. Then I left Yazda, and for past 3 years I've been involved with the Sinjar Academy. Sinjar Academy is another organization we built. Which is focused on providing education to the Yazidi community and to people of Sinjar in general, with the goal of becoming a university in the future, like a non-profit university in the future. It's focused on providing, English, German, computer science, and other kind of courses that we provide right now in Sinjar, both in Sinjar and also online. So, yeah, so what motivated me really to do this is just really what the scale of the issues that the committee faced, and being from there myself, even some of my family members were not 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 very close family members. Let's say my aunt's son was killed. He was a disabled person. My other relatives, some were impacted. some neighbors were killed. So it was a lot of people, some classmates from the school. So it was really almost, I think every Yazidi got impacted. That also myself. So I like kind of the motivation was really just the scale of the issues that happened.
Thank you so much for that introduction and for being so vulnerable with your response. I would now like to turn it over to Reverend Al-Shafi. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to get involved in the recovery of the Yazidi community?
So my name is Reverend Yazidi Shafi. I'm the founder and president of One Free World International. It's a human rights organization based in Toronto, Canada, but we have branches in more than 28 different countries. And basically helping the minorities in the front line is one of our main goals. So that's such as the Yazidis in Iraq, the Christians in the Middle East and Asia, Rohingya, Ismailis, um, um, Falun Gong Tibetans in China, wherever the Baha'is, whatever it is, there is persecution happening to the minorities. We always will be there to support them. Of course, as well, we stand against the rise of the anti-Semitism that we see today after October 7, which is a very sad reality. Now, the another part of our organization, besides advocating, but also rescuing mission and humanitarian aid and medical supplies, which will lead us to my personal story. I was tortured back home in Egypt, and I came because I'm a Christian, because I'm a Muslim convert to Christianity, and it's not a matter of debate of religion; it's a matter of freedom of religion. I believe because I believed in the freedom of religion, and I converted to Christianity. I was tortured severely back home in Egypt. I escaped to Israel, and through the intervention of Amnesty International and UN, I came here to Canada. This was more than 20 years ago as landed political refugee. The start of One Free World International because I wanted to help people who used to be in the same position like myself. So I didn't want to be sitting down doing nothing. The torture, the scars on my body, the pain that I faced, the nightmares that I have in the night ignited my calling, not my job, but my calling to help others. And from there, we started missions to help the Yazidis. We rescued more than 600 Yazidi girls from the slavery in ISIS.
Thank you. So you both spoke about how you're actively working towards helping the Yazidis today in 2025, 11 years after the genocide took place. So what's the situation like now in the Sinjar region? Mr. Ismail, would you like to respond to this question?
Yeah. So in Iraq in general, ISIS is not in control anymore. ISIS has been defeated militarily. Of course, there are still pockets of ISIS in places inside Iraq, mostly in the western deserts. Some of the areas they are not in Sinjar at all, but they are in other parts of Iraq. They are still present, not controlling territory, but potential of them, committing attacks or making attacks or crimes. Still the rest is there. I think also the situation in Syria now, as you know, the regime change and the control of HTS, the HTS control and other Islamic groups controlling Syria. One of the biggest questions is how ISIS will be benefiting from that.
And what's it like for the Yazidis there right now?
Of course, it's not as bad as 2014, but still, for example, we have 2,700 Yazidis still in captivity. They still have not been rescued, and initially it was 7,000, but now we have still 2,700 or more than 2,700 who are still captive. Their situation, of course, becomes much more difficult to rescue them, especially there's no like real organized effort to rescue them. Yazidi communities also, about half of them have not returned back to Sinjar, so about half of them still live in the IDP camps or in the Kurdistan region. There was never like a strong program to help people go back to their homeland. Uh, Actually, the process or the paperwork process for the return now has been completely stopped because of the political issues between Baghdad and Erbil, and they agreed to kind of stop the process of IDP's return. So people now are unable, even if a Yazidi from the camp want to go back, he cannot go back. So that's the issue of IDP's return. The other issues, for example, include the situation with the armed groups inside Sinjar, armed groups, PKK presence, Turkish airstrikes on Sinjar, the PMF, the Iran-backed PMF also is in Sinjar. So it's really, and the conflict between Baghdad and Erbil on Sinjar, which on the Yazidi territory, really make it almost impossible, or have made it very, very, very difficult for the recovery, for like rebuild of the economy, rebuild of the area. So Sinjar is still not doing well, even though other areas of Iraq are being rebuilt. Sinjar is not.
So, has the Iraqi government or the international community played a role in trying to improve the situation?
I think, yeah, I think NGOs have largely withdrawn from Iraq in general. Like there is much less funding going through the NGOs. A lot of the work that was done in Sinjar was actually by the NGOs and non-profit money. It was not the Iraqi government money. Most of it was like foreign money. USAID paid a lot of, for a lot of the projects. A lot of it was American money, some European money that was used as well. But really, almost everything was built was the money that came from the international community. Very little by Iraq as a country. As you know, the focus of the international community has changed. And for example, with US now even stopping the whole aid for 3 months for everyone. I don't expect much more to come from the international community, but I mean that would be good if the international community will still invest in the recovery of the Yazidi community as a genocide. But I don't expect that will be much higher. But at least if the international community could pressure Iraq more, because Iraq is a wealthy country, there's still a lot of oil and they have money, they can allocate money, but it's just Yazidis do not have a strong political presence in the country.
Reverend Al Shafi, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, you have to answer the question, first of all, how much corrupted is the Iraqi government? The Iraqi government and the Kurdish government. Let's just be honest about that. So let me put it in a concept so both of us will be on the same page. To have the law is one thing. I can give you the best constitution in the world, but to implement the law is something else. So to pass the law to look like you're doing something internationally and you look like you're caring and so on is one thing. To implement the law on the ground is different story. In reality, is different story. I see the Iraqi government and the Kurdish government actually used and abused the aid that came to the Yazidis and other minorities, especially during the war. And the majority of them ended in the black market. I'm sorry. I saw that there is a lot of corruption. I saw that today the aid and the help that they presented to the community is really not effective. And today you found people still in the refugee camp. Why? Why? Why are not rebuilding their land in Singar Mountain and help them to go back again to their home? Because the more that they're keeping them refugee, they can control their land and they can control them. But you want to tell me after 10 years of the war, you are unable to resettle them back again to their home in Singar Mountain and elsewhere, is a horrible. Is a horrible. So the Iraqi government can pass whatever laws that they want. They can implement whatever very beautiful statement as they wishes. They can make all of this beautiful promises, all of these beautiful institutions on papers. But with my all due respect, their corruption, their lack of action is very, very clear. that their desire to help does not exist.
So if the Iraqi government isn't playing a significant role in creating positive change and may even be contributing to the Yazidis' worsening conditions, are NGOs or any other actors stepping in to make a more meaningful impact?
The NGO has been trying to help, especially in the beginning of the war. We are one of the NGOs that when we send the aid, many of our aid ended in the black market. I cannot prove it, but I know from the team on the ground, from the people on the ground. So today, the NGOs that you are talking about also have a very limited resources. So the NGOs right now will help in Gaza, for example, or will help in Ukraine, or will help in Sudan. Remember, it's not the only disaster that exists. So the NGO did help in the beginning. Now, our questions, not just the NGOs and governments helped a lot in the beginning during ISIS. My question: where all of this aid went? Why this aid is not today? Did not change the people's life. Why people are still in the refugee camp? What did you do with this aid? And this is something that the Iraqi government and the Kurdish government have to respond to.
I see. Thank you both for sharing your insights into this topic. Based on what you have both shared today, it is clear that the reconstruction of the Yazidi homeland is something that requires a lot more attention and action from the international community. Before I let you go, I have one more question for you. What are your feelings for the future surrounding this topic? Mr. Ismail, would you like to start?
I'm really disappointed about the future. I think the Yazidis tried their best. It's also a lot of Yazidis want to leave Iraq. They want to leave, but with the international community, as you see, nobody wants migrants anymore. Nobody wants to take people in. Some Yazidis who are due to come to the U.S. before Trump came to power, they now even stopped that whole process, like legal process, they stopped it. So nobody takes refugees legally. There is no path for illegal migration anymore. So Yazidis are like stuck there, but they are stuck there without enough power to protect their rights and their presence, their existence. So it's very difficult situation, and I'm really not hopeful about the future at all for the Yazidis or the minorities in Iraq. I think we've seen the decline of minorities in Iraq and Syria, and that decline will just continue until nobody is there anymore. In 20, 30 years. I mean, everybody says my country first. But what happens to people who don't have a country, like who don't have they're not strong enough to defend their areas? It's all there is definitely, like, you would think there is something international human rights. You think there is something like real, but in reality, when things like genocide happens, there's nothing. It's just a big lie. It's just a big lie. The whole human rights.
Reverend El Shafi, do you share similar feelings?
I am worried that the genocide will happen to them again. I am worried that basically the extremists will attack them again. I think the Yazidis and their territory have to be protected by international community and create an international zone around them in order to protect them, quite honestly. I don't think that they are capable in protecting themselves. I don't think that the Iraqi government will give them a weapon to protect themselves, self-defense. I think that as long as they will always a minority, a vulnerable minority, they will always be under attack. And I will ask the international community to declare their territory as a green zone, protected green zone by the UN or NATO, whatever, or EU, whatever it is, or UNESCO, in order to protect them. But I am concerned about this genocide will repeat itself again.
Although discouraging to hear, thank you both for sharing your honest opinions on the subject. It's important that listeners and I are aware of the issue, so I appreciate your responses. Now, I want to continue with a story from Basima. Basima is a Yazidi woman and a survivor of the Yazidi genocide. In 2017, she resettled to Canada and is currently living in Toronto.
My name is Basima. I am Iraqi, Sinjar. I'm born in Sinjar.
Basima was born in a village in Sinjar named Kocho. She lived with her husband, her daughter, and 2 sons. On August 3, 2014, ISIS militants attacked her village and demanded that everyone hand over their money and gold. ISIS separated the men and women and killed many people on the spot, including Basima's husband. They also abducted her 4-year-old daughter. Basima and her 2 sons were brought to the Syrian city Raqqa, where she was separated from her eldest son, who was forced to convert to Islam and fight. In the next recording, Basima shares a very harrowing and traumatic experience she had with an ISIS man in Raqqa, who handcuffed her and brought her to a private room. This was the first time she was sexually assaulted. Her son was in the room next door. In the following recording, where Basima describes her experience, she uses the word marry or married when referring to sexual assault.
He says, no, we have to. I says, no. He told me every clothes take out. I cried. I says, no. He says, stop. I have a knife. I kill you a knife. We have knife is big. He says, you not Muslim. You Yazidi. I have to marry you. I says, no. I says, no, kill me, no marry me. Kill me. It's very hard. It's very hard. I crying. Please kill me now. Why you no kill me? After by us another guy.
Basima and her 7-year-old son were also forced to cook and clean for ISIS members. Basima recalls a specific day when a Muslim woman somehow involved with ISIS came by to the house and told Basima she would help her. In this next recording, Basima explains how this woman helps call her dad to tell him that she's alive.
She Muslim because she don't have money too much. She come help me. She asking me, you have that number? And she says, yes, of course I have my dad and understand in the mind. Yeah, he told me I'm help you. Can you dad help me, pay for me? And says, believe me, my dad help you, but only you told me you go because we don't have Wi-Fi in the Syria too much. We don't have. Some people buy Wi-Fi only at home. And we don't have every house in the Syria Wi-Fi. Don't have it. She says, I have Wi-Fi. And says, okay, I'm writing because I understand my dad's number. And I'm writing in the paper. I give it to her. She called my dad. She says, I see your daughter, and we have 1 son with her. Oh, my dad is crying with her. Crying because 2 years and 5 months, my dad never listened to me. My dad is crying.
After this interaction, the woman writes down her number and hands it to Basima to keep. Around the same time, Basima becomes very sick. Desperate to see her 11-year-old son, who was taken by ISIS, she pleads with an ISIS member to bring him to her. He agrees, allowing Basima and her son to reunite for 2 days. As soon as her eldest son arrives, Basima begins planning their escape, determined to flee before dawn the following morning.
I told my kids, let's go. And he's ISIS sleeping with morning. It's 6 like night. It's because dark. And 6 o'clock, I sleepy everybody. I opened the door slow. I told my kids go. 2 kids. I told go. You first. I come second. And Haddal and Habal is go first. And he going. I looking the balcony. I'm looking. He going. After I slow, very slow, I take my shoes. I walk in no shoes. Because I'm just cannot be quiet, cannot listen the shoes.
They escape the house successfully and Basima hails a taxi. They ride in the taxi until she spots a man smoking.
I'm go to another house smoking. Because it says haram, no smoking. No halal, says haram, no smoking. And he's smoking. I told taxi, stop here. Says, okay.
Basima tells the man smoking that she will ask her father to collect money from the people in her village in exchange for temporary shelter. After some hesitation, the man agrees. Before long, Basima leaves his house with her 2 sons, setting off on foot. For days, they walk towards their destination, Kobani, a Kurdish-majority city in Syria.
I go in 3 days. 3 days, me and 2 sons, I'm walking. Believe me, no eating, no food, no drinking, no food, nothing, not sleeping. Only walking.
Basima and her sons are close to Kobani when she meets someone who speaks Kurdish, her first language.
I see one guy speak like me, speak Kurdish. Oh, I'm happy. Because he speak Kurdish. I'm happy. And says, hi, how are you? Says, I'm good. How about you? Says, I'm great. Says, where you go? And says, it's okay. You come in the part that this guy says, yeah, of course. I speak Kurdish. Says, I'm Yazidi. I'm 3 days. I'm walking. Believe me, I know more than walking because my leg is hurts, my back is hurts. I need something eating because 3 days no eating anything, no drink water. Is because headache is hurts, because not thinking. He told me, you Yazidi? Says, yes, I'm Yazidi. Oh, he give me hug, give my kids hug. Oh, I'm happy. Believe me, I'm happy. After he take me and the Kobani. He take the Kobani. Take me and doctor. Doctor said, oh my God, because his stomach is hoarse. He 3 days no eating, no drink water. Give it to me medicine, and after every 2 months, give it to me and my kids. Eat please. I said, no, I know it only because now I no scared, no ices, nothing. I'm happy. Every time night I told my kids, come sleep with me. Every time I like this one son here, because I'm scared.
Basima finally returns to Iraq. It is only then when her mother reveals that her daughter was alive and returned to the village. This was the first time Basima saw her daughter in 2 years. The International Organization for Migration, or IOM, helped her and her family, and on July 17, 2017, they arrived in Canada. It is undeniable that the stories shared today were distressing, discouraging, and horrific. But I want to conclude this podcast on a more hopeful note, so I will end it off with a powerful quote from Reverend Al-Shafi.
Never give up. Yes, we are concerned. Yes, there is fear, but we never give up. And this is for everybody that's listening, for everybody that reading your article. You can kill the believers, but you cannot kill the belief of our hearts. You can kill the dreamer, but not the dream. I promise you that after every night, there is new morning carrying new day. Giving up is not an option. We'll continue fighting for human rights, and we'll continue fighting to help others.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Human Rights Magazine. The podcast is brought to you by the Upstream Journal. I invite you to consider supporting the program and the magazine with a contribution through PayPal as you explore other episodes.